right, we want to welcome you to the Collaborative Approach in Education podcast. This has been a couple of months in the making. We have, just chatted about it, and now we're excited to bring it to you. And today is just about talking about our intention for the podcast and what we want to do for our sector. So this is Katie, I'm
Hi.
Tammy, and this is Danny.
Hello.
So our intention really is to change the way that we outlook childcare, and to really sort of boost the educators up and making sure that we're here for each other, being proactive. We've seen a lot on different Facebook pages and things, and people just really becoming quite negative, and we think that we need to
Inspire and empower people.
Share our passion for
Yeah.
early childhood education, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that we've found that if you put the time and effort into educators, then you get that back, and that's what we really want to see, that change in our sector, and people wanting to come to work and feel their best selves.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So what's your thoughts, Danny? You can start us off on our intention.
I really believe that our main goal should be providing strategies for managers, for teachers to know how to handle the everyday challenges of early childhood education. It can be either guiding educators if you're a manager and knowing how to coach them and how to support them to improve themselves. If you are in a classroom as a teacher, to know how to prioritize tasks and handle every situation that happens at work. Coming from a positive approach in the way we see things.
Yeah.
And I think we named it the collaborative approach because it's about coming together as a team. Being in childcare, each of us for a long time, we see that a collaborative approach always works out a lot better than someone dictating. So it really does come down to a strong team that has a good input.
Yeah. And I think in all aspects, not just as you were saying, but even with the children, that collaborative approach with the children, with the families, with with the other educators, with your director, other professionals, whether it be allied health workers and things like that. It's kind of that holistic approach to collaborative.
Yeah, no, it's something that's definitely missing, and I think a lot of us saw a big change when COVID came. So, a lot of great people left the industry, and it really put a negative feel on probably not just our workplace, but we definitely have felt it, and we're just looking to, motivate and ignite that passion and
really inspire people to get back into it.
And I feel like because we've met in those network group meetings, and we could see there how much we were sharing the same values and intents in what we did, and we could see the difference in a way that when we interviewed people or we got to work with different people, could see the impact of this dictatorship, in early childhood centers, how much it affects staff morale and even children's development, parents' experience in childcare. When you see in those Facebook groups, when you have parents complaining about their childcare centers and asking for advice, and the three of us, we were like, we can see what's wrong, we know what's wrong, so maybe we should share it with the world and get a little bit of our input out there.
Yeah, and our passion.
Yeah, there's nothing sadder than you are at a service that you're running and getting phone calls constantly from the community around you because they're not happy in a centre that they're at. And I actually just feel so sad for the parent to have to go through that, the child to have to go through that. It's a big change for them in that time in their lives. and then there's, you know, some parents that have hopped around to so many services because they just can't find quality at the moment. So, yeah.
It's really quite an easy fix. Like it is an easy fix if we were to just put, you know, our knowledge and experience into upskilling staff and really sharing our passion so that hopefully it rubs off onto others and, you know, inspiring, empowering them to, you know, really want to learn more and really bring their passion to everything that they do.
Yeah. And like, I think like for me, the my most recent service, it's reflection has just shown, you know, people go on and on about reflection, and when I first learned about it, I thought, oh, just another piece of paperwork. But that's what now drives our centre, is just really quality reflection where everyone comes together and we actually make change and action what we talk about. So I think it's so important to have those, you know, those robust conversations that lead to change.
Yeah, I definitely think having a robust conversation, you know, robust debates. We don't always agree and everyone has their own opinions on certain things and stuff, but it is really important for everybody to share their input and for everyone to feel comfortable in sharing their input, whether it's, you know, it's their truth, so they should be able to share that.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think that the same way that we tell educators to see children as competent and capable, we should see each other as competent and capable. And even if you don't work in the same service, if it's a service close to you, there's no reason why we shouldn't be working in collaboration and sharing our strengths to each other and being like, look, I tried this, it really worked, why don't you try it as well? Like I had a family the other day calling my center saying, my child is currently going to this center, and she named the center, and you just offered me a spot at your center, so convince me why your center is better than the one that he's currently going to. And I feel like I could not say, I have never heard, like I heard about the center, but I've never worked there, so I can't say anything about it. And I said, look, each center has their own philosophy, each one has their own approach. I cannot tell you why my center is better than that one, because I believe, you know, each center does their best at, you know, with the resources they have and with the knowledge they have. But the reason why we are good at what we do is because of this. But like, and I think that that's a kind of behavior that has to start as well between centers. We have to start doing this as well, like lifting each other
having
up,
each other's back,
having each other's back instead of like trying to bad mouthing each other for some things that we have heard from a family that we don't even know if it's true or not. Unless you experience that, unless you worked there, we can have a bad mouth anyway. Well, we shouldn't anyway, but you know what I mean? Like I feel like sometimes, you know, families might try to do that, even staff, you know, they might come for an interview and they might try to do the same. And it's a matter of like trying to put ourselves on their shoes and be like, okay, but why would that person act that way with that staff member when they're trying to talk to you about a center or whatever? Because I feel like
it usually says a lot more about them.
Yes. And I feel like when you think that way and you want to work in collaboration and you want to work and you don't see the other centers as competitors, you know, because we are all sharing the same passion. We share the same intentions for children. We all want children to succeed. So we shouldn't be competing amongst ourselves. We should just be helping and working together and collaborating and sharing resources the way, you know, we were doing with the Ed Leaders Network group and so many other network groups that are out there. That should be the intention, lifting each other up, supporting each other, and definitely working in collaboration for the best outcomes for the children.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of time it starts in your own service too, because like I've seen so many times where each room, like, you know, they're working against each other, who can do it better, what looks better. And it's like, hang on a second, why aren't we using each other's strengths? Why aren't we, you know, one person's really good at music, let's invite them into the classroom, like where it's like, oh, we're going to keep all the music because we're the best at that. So even just changing the mentality within the service sometimes is quite a big job.
I think sometimes though, or majority of the time, is the educators that often start that have come from services where there is that in-house
mentality.
in-house competitiveness, and I think we're definitely moving away from that, but it can be a hard thing to squash when it's something, there's many centres out there who have that competitive, like, you'll get a $50 room budget if you guys have the best display or things like that, and that's not the stuff we should be focusing on.
I mean, like the service that I'm at, we've been open for 3 years, and it really has taken 3 years to get that quality and squash out the bullying and the people that don't align with what our philosophy is. So it does take time, and then unfortunately, because we are a women heavy industry, we do come across like a lot of maternity leaves and things like that, where it appears to be like a revolving door, but it's where you've got to put your time and effort into your younger staff, knowing that that's going to happen and them coming through.
Yeah.
So it's like really trying to foresee what things could come up in the future as well.
Yeah, and ensuring that consistency remains. And I guess it also having that, having the knowledge for the staff so that there is that consistency, but also the leadership that's going to drive that and continue to drive that as well.
Yeah, and I think a lot of services are seeing the importance of educational leader now. And, the network that we go to, most educational leaders are off the floor for a full day now. And
If they're not full-time.
And they're seeing the benefits of that depending on how big your service is. But it's putting back into the educators. And a lot of the time, like my educational leader is a bit of a well-being check-in person, and that sound wave that needs to just problem solve things with the educators, because the director's role is such a big role, and by having that for one person to go to, it makes the educators feel safe, and they feel heard and respected. And I think if you're in a service where they're doing the minimum of 2 hours, that's just not good enough.
Well, it's actually impossible. If we're driving quality, which is the role of the educational leader, basically, 2 hours a week is absolutely not enough.
Yeah, for sure.
Not enough.
And it is the one of the main roles of a center, like the ed leader should be driving, having those conversations, checking in, because if you're not okay, then you're not going to be doing well in the classroom anyway. The same way as in the plane, you need to put the mask on you first, then before you can help other people. So it's the same way. The ed leader is that mask, they'll be helping educators in that way, that will be actually opening, giving them, being an eye-opener for situations of when they're struggling with a behavior, or they're struggling with a program, they're struggling where to go next. So that should be the role of that leader. And if that's not seen as such an important role, then that's when you see many more challenges in a classroom. You see teachers that are overwhelmed,
we've just spent the last 12 months on communication. And we have a totally different team because of it. We're putting the time, the effort in, collaborating, learning about each other's strengths, and where we, need to see that sometimes somebody needs help. And a lot of the time, being actually able to say, I need help. And I think that it's a really big one where a lot of people are too proud to ask for help. And the only person that they're in saying that, it's the children plus themselves that is not benefiting from that. So I think we also need to change it where it's about that we are a team, that we are collaborative. There's so many things that happen in life day in, day out, where we need to lean on each other, be there for each other, lift each other. So it's it's so important that we have a very heavy focus on well-being, and following through. 50% to 80% of our job, as in a director's role, is following up on people. So it is, it's one of those things that you've got to keep everyone accountable to keep everything going. Yeah.
And I think that brings us back to the intention of the podcast, is that this is part of the reason we want to do this, is to share our knowledge and experience and what's happening, and allowing those people who might be too proud to ask for help to be able to gain some of the knowledge, our knowledge and experience in a different way,
and find some tools so they can navigate that.
Yeah.
So it's, it becomes more natural.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'm sure that amongst ourselves, with all the experience that we have from overseas and over here in different kind of centers, community centers, private schools, and all these different backgrounds that we have, there will be things that people identify themselves with, and then maybe they don't even realize that that's a weakness that they have, or it's a strength that they have, or that there are ways to actually deal with the challenges they have now. Until they listen to us and be like, oh, actually, yes, the same thing happens to me, resonates with me.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Yeah, well, I think that that kind of concludes like our intent. Like I think it's really clear how passionate we all are, and that we have so much to say, and we're hoping to pass that on.
Thank you for joining us on our first episode of the Collaborative Approach in Education. We hope you'll gain valuable insights into the world of early childhood education throughout our podcast series. If there are any topics you would like us to discuss, please let us know in the comments below.